Well, some years ago, a Gambian-American man, Tamsir Jasseh, who served in the U.S. Navy during Operation Desert Storm, decided to move back to the Gambia. Now, later he became the country's Director General of Immigration, but suddenly his life took a terrifying turn when he was convicted of treason and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now, he is the founder of the Gambia Association for Peace and Reconciliation, and today we are delighted to have Tamsir Jasseh with us on Africa 54. Mr. Jasseh, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, first take us back a few years. How did you end up getting arrested and charged with treason? What did you do?
Frankly speaking, at the time, I had absolutely no idea what I was being charged with when I was picked up from my residence, and I was taken to the headquarters of the National Intelligence Agency, in which they told me I was being charged with treason, that I had connived with the chief of the army, Mr. Nurcham, and a group of other soldiers to overthrow the government of Yahya Jammeh. That came as a surprise to me and to just about everybody who was involved, because at the time, it's a natural thing within the country that people do talk about overthrowing a government, because the government that was in power itself came in by overthrowing another government. So it became very jittery about the issue of overthrowing and would just arrest anyone they remotely suspected of doing that.
And I know you did serve some time in prison.
Yes, I was sentenced for 20 years hard labor, and I did 6.5 years. And on, I believe, September 17, 2012, I was called out of my cell and told that my release had been negotiated by Reverend Jesse Jackson, who was in the country to visit. And that's how my family and I were just bundled up and put on the first available flight and shipped back to the United States.
Now, you know, we're talking about, when you mentioned the president, Yahya Jammeh, he's still sitting president. Gambia is not one of those countries we talk about every day. Yeah. So for many people, to many people, it seems to be a fairly calm, quiet country. Give us a sense of the political developments in that country today.
To put it in a nutshell, there is absolutely no political freedom in the Gambia, nor is there economic freedom or opportunity. The president has control just about every aspect of political life as well as economic life in the country. And he doesn't tolerate any form of opposition, and he perceives anybody who doesn't agree with him to be against him. And he doesn't take that lightly. And as a result, over the past 20 years, people have decided not to speak up out of fear of being arrested and
Now,
charged.
you have this organization that is based right here in the United States. What do you hope to achieve? You're miles away from the Gambia.
Yes, we believe that the problem of Gambia is not going to be solved through confrontations. And we believe that so much has happened between Gambian people for the past 20 years. And the best way to deal with the situation would be to reconcile the Gambian people together. This is not to be understood as trying to tolerate and accept the wrongs that have happened in the country. It is to correct them. And in reconciliation and in dialogue, we must speak the truth and say exactly what happened and identify who was responsible for what has happened and try to find a way to forgive each other. We can start that from the diaspora, because it's easier to do it here. And we believe that once Gambians in the diaspora who seem to have the same concern come together as a body, and we can better approach our government and the Gambians on the ground and address the situation.
Now, very briefly, we know we've already mentioned that you did serve 6 years out of the 20 you were sentenced to. How did that experience impact you since then?
I had an opportunity to be isolated for 6.5 years in solitary confinement, in which I have an opportunity to actually look at my country and have decided that we don't come out of these experiences angry and being vindictive. We need to use it in a positive way to the benefit of the people and of the country, because I might have suffered, but frankly, there are other people who have suffered greater sufferings in the world, and they have had it within their hearts to recognize the importance of the nation, the interest of the nation, and have put aside those personal feelings and move towards the issue of national reconciliation.
Mr. Jasseh, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
We wish you well.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Tamsir Jasseh is a former political prisoner and founder of the Gambia Association for Peace and Reconciliation.